Hello everybody, welcome to Module 3. This module will be 2 weeks with 2 topics condensed into 1 week for our second week of Module 3. So let me explain that a little bit more. Our first week of Module 3, we're going to be taking a look at child development. You will read the child development reading. You will complete the Child Development Reading Organizer due on Tuesday. And then you will complete the commentary on the Dr. Seuss Winners. Let's take a look at that. For this reading commentary, you have 2 options. Your option 1 is to do a search for the Dr. Seuss Winners. They can be honor award winners as well, and you will read them. As a reminder, you may check out these books from the library. You also may find digital copies online. And in the event that you can't find either of those options, I am okay with you searching the topic on YouTube, finding a read aloud of the book, pausing, taking a look at the illustrations, and so on. So when in doubt, do a title search for the title of the book you're looking for in YouTube as a read aloud. Most of the books are read aloud, and we are very lucky that way. If that is the case, you will then, of course, find a digital copy photograph of the book and submit a digital picture of the book for your reading commentary. In this reading commentary, we're going to really be focusing on the child development readings that we had. So you must have completed those readings in order to fully answer these questions correctly. You need to include the title and the author of the book. You need to include the developmental stages of the book. And this is going to, or for the book, this is going to come from our weekly text. In the readings, we read about various developmental stages, so I would like for you to discuss which of the 4 you think the book would support and why. Please use specific language and definitions from the text to support your answer. They discuss developmental stages such as infants, toddlers, early childhood, and early readers. So really think about what book that might fall into which category. Next, how does the book demonstrate creativity and imagination in 2 to 3 sentences? What topic or idea does this book help students explore? And then attach an image to the thread. Please be sure that you're responding to your peers' posts in a meaningful way. Remember, it is 2 peer responses, not just 1. If you don't feel like exploring an actual book, you can choose 2 books, winners or honor award winners, and review multiple reviews of the book and choose 2 reviews to highlight. Include a link to each of your reviews and then post an image of the book in the thread. As you read the reviews, pay attention to how the book encourages and supports beginning readers, and think about how the book demonstrates creativity and imagination. For your answer in option 2, it's very similar. There pretty much is no difference from option 1, except you won't have read the book, you will have read the reviews. Okay, that is the gist of reading commentary number 4 for child development. As we jump back over, we're still in Module 3, you have your first literature study. Hopefully you have been reading Because of Winn-Dixie. There's been reminders throughout the course since the start of the course. You will need to complete reading Because of Winn-Dixie. It's a very fun read. If you have little children or even early readers or young adults in your home, read this with them. They will really enjoy it. It's a great book. And don't watch the movie. It is not as good. For this literature study, you're going to create your own book that depicts what happens in the actual story of Because of Winn-Dixie. You can create PowerPoint slides, Google slides. You can do it on a piece of paper. However you want to display this information is up to you. The way we do it is we are going to take all 26 chapters and chunk them. So if you're doing a PowerPoint, for example, your first slide after the title slide would be focused on chapters 1 through 5. Second slide focuses on chapters 6 through 10, third slide 11 through 15, and so on. If you wanted to do this on a piece of paper, same thing. The first piece of paper would focus on chapters 1 through 5. You would have your information, and your second paper would be chapters 6 through 10, and so on. So it's up to you. PowerPoint, written piece of paper, it's either way works for me as long as it follows these directions. Once you have sectioned off all 5 sections, you're then going to create an illustration for the sections. So let's focus on chapters 1 through 5, that first slide or that first piece of paper. You can, if you're drawing it yourself, if you're an artist, you can use pencils, markers, crayons, whatever you want, paint. I don't know. If you're an artist, use this time to really just have fun. And in your illustration, it will depict something important that occurs in chapters 1 through 5. You don't have to include multiple pictures. Just include an illustration that is the gist of chapters 1 through 5. If you are doing a PowerPoint and you want to use digital images, you may use digital images that represent what happens in chapters 1 through 5, and so on. So it's up to you whether you use digital or if you draw pen and paper, that's your call, either one, as long as it's descriptive. So that is it for the illustrations. Along with an illustration, you need to include a summary or synopsis in your own words of what takes place in that section. So again, our example, chapter 1 through 5, you want to think about the structure of what the book, you want to think about what characters were introduced, what problem was introduced, what setting they were in, how the plot develops, and so on. So in your own words, you write a quick summary of what occurred in that section. So if it's a PowerPoint, you have your slide, which is the image, whether it be digital or hand-drawn, and then in the notes section or at the bottom of the slide, just include that synopsis. If you want to handwrite it or type it out and glue it onto an actual physical piece of paper, that's fine too. So your submission should include 5 illustrations that capture the gist of each 5 section. It should include 5 supporting texts that capture the gist of all 5 sections. If you like my sentence starters that I include in a lot of our examples, feel free to use these. You don't have to. So in this section, we were introduced to, we learned about, or we learned more about, and the section ended with us waiting to learn or wanting to know more of or about. These are great to help you really make sure you get the gist. You can turn in with the whole PowerPoint if you have if you decide to do a actual physical drawing and writing or typing, take a picture of each of those pages and include an image in the submission box. The rubric is pretty simple. You included 5 illustrations that capture the gist of the book, and you include supporting text providing a synopsis or summary of the book in your own words. If you complete all of this, you will have mastered the literature study, our very first one for Because of Winn-Dixie. As always, if you have questions, just send me a quick email through Canvas, and I'll do everything I can to make it more clear. That is it for the first week of Module 3. The second week of Module 3 is going to be condensed because we have spring break the following week. So we're going to be focusing on traditional literature and poetry. So just like our week 1, I promise you it wouldn't happen again, but it is. So I do apologize. You need to read all about traditional literature and all about poetry and submit 2 reading organizers by Tuesday of this week. That's going to include the traditional literature reading organizer as well as the poetry reading organizer. 2 separate reading organizers, 2 separate submission boxes, both due on Tuesday of the second week of Module 3. The nice thing is that you only have one reading commentary, and that focus is simply on traditional literature. In this reading commentary for week 2, your focus is on traditional literature. It's the same idea. You're going to either find a digital copy of the book, a hardcover of the book, or even a YouTube read aloud of the book for option 1, and answer the following: title and author, the types of traditional literature that is discussed in our text. You will have to refer to the text. What type of traditional literature do you think the book is and why? This is straight from our reading. We learn about various different types, so please be specific and use content from our text, language, definitions, and so on. The types of traditional literature that we discuss are folktale and fairy tales, ballads and epics, legends, myths, and tall tales. So which do you think it applies to and why? Next, what culture does the story represent or teach us about? Next, what do readers learn from the story? Typically in traditional literature, there is a life lesson or some sort of question that's answered. Usually they face good versus evil, or there's a moral to the story. So think about what that might be and answer that in 2 to 3 sentences. And based on what we read about child development last week, what age or grade level do you think this piece of traditional literature would be good for and why? Then you will attach an image of the book. Option 2 is the same idea, except you will not gather the actual books or the read-alouds. You will gather 2 reviews of 2 books that you would like to explore, read those reviews, and answer the following. And it is the same questions, just based on the reviews. Be sure to respond to 2 peers and include an image of each book. And if you're doing option 2, don't forget to include a link to the 2 reviews that you used. That is for option 2 only. The last thing that you have to do for module 3 is going to be focused on poetry. This is a Flipgrid. If you haven't used Flipgrid before, it's very fun. The first thing you need to do is find your favorite poem. Whatever poem you want, it's totally your call. Have fun with it. If there's a favorite poem you've had your whole life, great. If you know nothing about poetry and you just do a search for awesome poems, I'm confident you will find something. Decide on a poem to share. Before you get on the Flipgrid, practice reading your poem. Practice reading it out loud in the mirror. It's really helpful. I would like for you to use feeling, emotion, clarity. I would like this to be a reading, like you were standing up in front of the class and reading the poem. You wouldn't get up in front of the class and say, roses are red, violets are blue, blah, 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 blah. No, you would say, roses are red and violets are blue. I love you and you love me too, right? You would want that inflection. So really focus on that emotion and practice. Reading in the mirror really helps. You will log into the Flipgrid. It's very easy. You're going to click this link here. It will take you directly to the grid, and you will start your discussion. Your student view is going to look a bit different, but once you get here, you'll notice there's no directions. If you can't remember the directions, jump back over to Canvas where the directions are. On the student view, I believe it looks even prettier than mine. So find the red button that says record the response. Click record. You will see a camera of yourself, and then you will be ready to read the poem. If you don't like the first recording, start again. And just when you're done, hit end record, and then it will post. You are also needing to respond to one peer in a video response. So please listen to at least, if not more, to one of the peers' read alouds and make a verbal video comment to their read aloud. The Flipgrid post is due by Thursday. Your response post to your peers must be in by Sunday. It gives time for everybody to make their posts and their responses. If you want to respond to more than one peer, please feel free. Okay, everybody, after you have completed all of these assignments, you will be ready to get your spring break on. While you're on spring break, I highly encourage you to be reading the Hunger Games, because when we return, our Hunger Games literature study will be due. Reminder, Hunger Games digital copy is located here. Have a wonderful, wonderful Module 3. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Bye, everybody. See you after break.